welcome to this edition of Rainer on Leadership. We've got a lot of information to share with you. And, I can just cut to the chase right away. We're going to be talking about one of the most important and most significant court rulings in our lifetime, Roe v. Wade, but we're really going to be talking about it from the perspective of a church leader and what that means for you. There's been a lot written about it. There's been a lot said about it, but we will be talking about that in detail, especially from the perspective of church leaders and what you should do and how to handle that. But we have exciting news. We need the drum roll. We need the excitement. We need the crowd.
Hey-yo!
We are now announcing our new sponsor along with Tyndale. Our new sponsor is Logos Faith Life. And we've been in discussion with them, and it's not just this podcast that we're working together on, but we're working together on several venues, but this one is particularly exciting. I want to talk to Sam about it in just a minute, but I just want to give you some basic information. You probably know Logos. You probably know their parent company, Faith Life. But according to a recent survey, 30% of evangelical Christians want more in-depth teaching. If you want to go deeper in the Word, Logos is the Bible study platform for you. Logos fuses powerful technology with biblical resources. Man, they've got all kind of stuff, Bible access, search tools, commentaries, seminary level courses. You can go on and on. 200,000 digital books from the world's top publisher. Logos is now more affordable than ever. Get started for just $49. You can go to logos.com/church answers. Sam, this is big news, really big news for us.
It is big news. And I have been using Logos and have really enjoyed it. It's like a research assistant.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's like, man, we got this new person added to our team, and he or she does research for us. I love it. Well, we're going to be talking a lot about Logos, and we are so thankful that we're in this partnership with them and that they have now come into the Rainer on Leadership podcast. And we also have a sobering podcast, I guess, but informative, and it's on the issue of Roe v. Wade. We know that it has not been that long ago that essentially Roe v. Wade was overturned. We say it's on Roe v. Wade, but it's really on the case that turned Roe v. Wade as invalid as a court ruling. And we want to talk about what it means for the church. So you go back to January 24, 2022, and the Supreme Court overruled it. New court case, Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Organization. Sam, we're going to talk about the implications of the decision. And it's going to have a lasting impact on culture, but man, it's going to have a lasting impact on churches as well.
Yeah, I realize that this is a very controversial subject matter, but it's so big that I felt like we really needed to discuss on our podcast. We're not known for being, commenters on culture. We don't do that. We're more practical church leadership.
Yes.
But this is a big deal. And so if you're a regular listener, you probably have picked up on, hey, this is maybe not out of character, but not a typical subject matter. We're not usually commenting on court cases. And if you're a new listener, well, usually we're talking about practical church issues, practical leadership issues in the church. But I will say this. It's something that I think is very important. And it's something that we've been hoping would happen for a long time. I say we, I'm talking about me personally. So let me just be clear there. And Dad, I know you as well.
Absolutely.
So I realize that there may be some people listening to this that disagree with us. And, we certainly want to be sensitive to that, but also want to say that I do believe that this issue has been a defining issue for the church, and it will continue to be a defining issue. Many churches have served in this area for decades, and they're well positioned to do more. And I think I'll brag on my own church, West Bradenton. We've been fostering, we've been caring for single moms, we've been adopting, We've been working with crisis pregnancy centers. This is something that we've done for quite some time, and I've fostered and adopted as well. I feel like my church is ready to do more. In fact, when this court case came down, there was more families in our church that stepped up and said, we're going to foster. So I thought that was just an incredible thing that because of this issue.
I've got a little add-on for you here, probably something that you do not know because at the age you were at the time, you would not have been aware. But I want to go back to when I was a seminary student, and we were living in Seminary Village, also known as the Gospel Ghetto, and we had little money. We were tithing to our church, but we gave to one other organization other than the church, above and beyond our tithe. And it was a crisis pregnancy center, a right to life organization. I bet you did not know that.
I did not. This is the first I've heard of that.
Yep. It was based in Louisville, so it was local. And, I don't remember the dollar amount your mom and I gave, but it was a matter of conviction. And we started giving just a little bit in 1983. So, you can go back and see how long we have been a part of this. And even when I had the old TomRainer.com that preceded Church Answers, I wrote fairly passionately about the right to life issue. I'm strong on this. I don't like engaging in culture wars, but I am all about the defense of life and the defense of the unprotected and the unborn. So this is something for which you are passionate. And Sam, you've lived it. You and Aaron have had numbers of foster children. You still do. I never know who's going to be at your house. I never know who I'm going to end up babysitting because of the foster kids you have. You have adopted from the foster system. Dominic is now my grandson, your son. So you are living this because you believe it as well. So this is not merely something that we're talking about from an academic exercise or from a podcast informational exercise. This is something you and I both believe in.
Yeah, it's not theory for me, not at all. So it is something I've lived, and it is something that I feel strongly about. And I do consider myself strongly pro-life and holistically pro-life, meaning, well, you got to be, you can't just speak out. That's important. You must also be a part of the solution. And that's really what we want to talk about on today's episode is not so much the merits of the case. There's plenty of other places that you can get that information. It's more of, what does this mean for the church now? And what are the implications for the church? What is the impact on the church? And this is going to be the case for any church, really, because now more babies will be born and more families created. And what we're going to have is a more complex family dynamic. And we will likely have more single moms. You're probably going to have more younger moms. And what is the church going to do about that? How is the church going to minister to them? I mean, this is already something that we talk about when we talk about the Know Your Community report that we do, and we'll put a link in the show notes for a Know Your Community report. It tells you how many single parent homes there are in your community, and most people vastly underestimate the number of single moms and single dads in their communities,
Right.
And that's only going to increase with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. There will be more babies born. Now, I do realize that abortion is available in other states, and what this does is it really turns it back to the states. But I do believe that demographically, this is a turning point, and you're going to see families. I think you're going to see the family size actually go up. It's tough to know exactly how much, but that means more families in the church and potentially younger families or younger moms, younger dads in the church. And that will shift ministry. Now, will there be a baby boom? I don't know. I don't know that I would go so far as to say that, but I do feel comfortable saying that you will see more babies born and probably more complex family structures because of this ruling. It's not like everyone's going to get married and go about a family in a traditional way. They're just not. So you need to be prepared for your children's ministry to minister to different kinds of families. It's not just going to be a mom and a dad and 2.5 kids, and they got married when they were 22 to 24 and they started having kids 28 to 30. You're going to see different kinds of families and more blended families and more single parent homes as a result. So I do believe that the church can step up and do children's ministry to accommodate for all these additional children.
Your church was involved in the fostering system before, I shouldn't even put it this way, but before fostering was cool. It was.
It's never been cool. It's still not cool.
And your fostering, I know that some of the foster kids that have come through your home have not only included single moms, but single dads as well. How did West B, your church, become so involved in the foster system, foster parenting, that once you got to that church, you immediately started including it as a part of your own family as well?
A lot of it has to do with, we asked the question, what are the biggest needs in the community? And that led us to fostering. So we call ourselves a neighborhood church for the nations. And in being a neighborhood church for the nations, obviously we want to minister to the people around the location of the church, and then we want to send people cross-culturally. Well, when you start, talking to your own community and say, well, what's the biggest problem? When I arrived here several years ago, it was heroin addiction. And as a result of the heroin trade that was here, there was a lot of kids in the foster system, so much so that it was overrun. They did not have a place for these children. They were sleeping, by the desks of some of the case managers. They did not have homes for them. The group homes were full. And so we just stepped up and said, well, we'll be part of the solution. And we took in many, many foster children. At any given point, in our foster children by design, you want them to go back to their parents. So you're cheering for the parents. They don't always do that. They don't always go back to these homes because some of them are dangerous. But, we fostered, and we've had some success cases where parents got their act together and were able to get their children back, which is wonderful. That's what you want.
All right. If you have a pastor listening, well, we know we have thousands of pastors listening right now, so that's not hypothetical. With thousands of pastors listening right now, and they're saying, okay, I want to celebrate this ruling, Dobbs versus Jackson, in a biblical way, and I want to celebrate it by becoming a church which is encouraging fostering. Where did they begin, Sam?
Well, I would reach out to organizations like One More Child. I serve on the board at One More Child. It's an awesome, awesome place to start. We'll provide a link in the show notes for that. They serve primarily Florida, but they're in other states as well. And they can certainly point you in the right direction if you're looking to foster. So there's good partners, Christian partners that do licensing, that can train and equip you. I couldn't have done it without One More Child. I couldn't have been a foster parent without their help. So you'll need to seek out an organization that can help you get licensed and can walk you through the process, because foster systems are based upon the state, and some states are better than others. Some systems are just train wrecks, frankly, but the kids still need help. So it's worth being a part of the train wreck because it's for the children. I hear all the time from churches, we want to get connected to the community. We just don't know where to start. We just don't know how to. You often say be in the world but not of the world. How do you do that? I'd say, well, foster. You're gonna be interacting with police officers, troubled homes, caseworkers, guardian ad litem, judges. I mean, you're gonna be all in the community if you foster.
I saw that just watching as an interested grandparent. I mean, I got to be at the adoption hearing for Dominic. I got to see what the court was doing. I mean, it was fascinating to me, and I'm just this granddad that loves watching what's happening to his family. So, yeah, I saw all the community members there. What was the lady who advocated for you to adopt? What was her particular role? What was her name? Not her name, but what was her position?
Well, both the case manager and the guardian ad litem were there for us. They were advocating for us because in Dominic's case, it was a very challenging home situation for him, and he was just not going to be able to go back home. So the guardian ad litem is the legal representation of the child. The caseworker is the one who's responsible for managing the whole of what's happening. But both of them were advocating for us, and it was a beautiful thing. We didn't necessarily want to adopt because we wanted him to go back to his home, but when we learned that it was just not going to be possible, we were more than grateful to have him in our home. And yeah, now he's my son and your grandson, and it's great. So if you're wondering, like, how do I respond to the overturning of Roe v. Wade? I would say, you know what? Go find 2, 3, 4 families in your church, start fostering, provide a support network around them, because you can't do this without a lot of support. You need that support. And Aaron and I are still doing things like respite care, and we had been doing emergency placements, which is very difficult because you get a child in the middle of the night typically when they're removed. But there's a lot of things you can do. You don't necessarily have to take a full placement. You can do respite care. You can do emergency placements. There's many different options within the foster system to get involved. And I think every church can be involved. Not every person is called to foster. Not every home can take a full placement, but every church can be a part of the solution. And I would say this is a great place to start. Contact an organization like One More Child, say you're willing to help, and they can walk you through the process.
Well, in addition, we're talking to church leaders right now. In addition to fostering, crisis pregnancy centers are going to need more volunteers more than ever, because more and more of these pregnant women are going to opt to keep the child rather than travel to another state with an abortion, to have an abortion. So now the church can work alongside crisis pregnancy centers, and some of the greatest partnerships, community partnerships I have ever seen, are between churches and crisis pregnancy centers.
Yeah, I mean, unplanned pregnancies are not going to go away. So with Planned Parenthood, many of their organizations in certain states shutting down, they're going to make phone calls more to these crisis pregnancy centers, and they're going to need more volunteers. They're going to need more help. So, obviously reach out to organizations like One More Child, reach out to your local crisis pregnancy center, and it'd be a wonderful thing to start volunteering, to get, if you need to be certified in certain areas, go get those certifications. Again, your local pregnancy center can help you understand what that may be. But there's all sorts of options here. You can be part of the solution, and you can respond. Even if you're like, I'm just going to give 2 hours a week or 1 hour a week, and I'm going to volunteer. I bet there's a crisis pregnancy center around you that can help you get connected and to fill those volunteer hours.
And Sam, I never went to a crisis pregnancy center to volunteer, but my churches, especially where I was in my last 2 churches, we put in the budget funds for a crisis pregnancy center, and that's one of the ways we partner. We had many of the ladies in our church who actually volunteered in there, but I made certain, as the leader of the church, that could not tell the church how to spend its money, but could make some strong recommendations that we were funding crisis pregnancy centers in both St. Petersburg and Birmingham.
Yeah, and it's not just women that can volunteer. They need help with men too, because a lot of times dads are involved. And they don't know what to do, and so we need. I serve on the board at the local crisis pregnancy center here, CareNet Minnesota, great organization, and they need just as many men volunteers as they do women.
I love it. Let's talk about the child hunger issue and what's going to happen there in the aftermath of the overturn of Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, now this is more speculation and probably more of a long-term problem. I do think that child hunger is going to get worse, not better. If there are more babies, and there are more babies being born into complex homes, impoverished homes, and homes with some single parents, I hate to make this prediction because I don't necessarily want this to happen, but I do think that child hunger is going to get worse, and so. If you're wondering where can we serve, well, not only are we going to need people to foster, not only do your crisis pregnancy centers need more help, those organizations that are providing food for hungry children, their mission's just going to get bigger. And I think the church can also step up. This is a very simple thing for the church. You're helping children. I don't care what denomination or where you are on the theological spectrum. Frankly, whether you agree or disagree with Roe v. Wade, no matter where you are on this, you can be part of this solution. You can help with child hunger, and I think that in certain communities, especially, in your more urban areas, you're going to see a big need for this.
Then we also know without a doubt that women are going to face greater challenges. They're going to continue to have the stresses of unwanted pregnancy. Those needs have been there. Those needs are going to be exacerbated now. That is another frontline ministry for the church, to be Christ to these women.
Absolutely. Again, unplanned pregnancies and unwanted pregnancies are not going away. And the church needs to be there for these families, for the moms, for the dads, and to be a place of healing for those who are wondering what on earth they need to do next.
Well, there are so many opportunities. We want to continue this discussion into the future. Your church has a new opportunity to minister on the front lines. Don't ask, how your church can connect with the community. As Sam has made very clear, this is an opening right now. It's an opportunity to be Christ in the community, to these families, to these women, to these children, to all who are involved, both through your presence, through your ministry, your prayers, and your funding. So we'll continue to talk about this. It's a huge issue, and we need to make sure that we in the church respond in the right way rather than just make it another political celebration or a political issue. We need to make it more about who we are, representing Christ in the community. Hey, Sam, as we wrap this up, we always want to thank Tyndale. Can you do that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I certainly want to talk about the 1 Year Chronological Study Bible. It's a truly unique combination of tools to transform your reading and study. We call it the 5-Tool Bible because it employs 5 tools for a fresh reading experience. Now, like all 1 Year Bibles, it is formatted to 365 daily readings, setting the pace for you to read through the whole Bible in a year. And like all chronological Bibles, the books and stories are organized in their historical order, the order that the events happened, which differs in numerous places from the canonical order. So why was the 1 Year Chronological Study Bible created? To bring the useful tools of 1 year chronological 14 eras and study together in one economical package. So this can be picked up. It releases on September the 6th. It is available for
1 month away. Yes.
So it is available for pre-order wherever books are pre-ordered. So go check out the 1 Year Chronological Study Bible. If you've never studied the Bible chronologically, you should at least do that once in your life. I realize people read the Bible. I've read through the Bible chronologically a couple of times in my devotional readings. I kind of challenged myself to do that. And if you haven't done it, you should. And if you've done it before, this is another great tool to use. So Tyndale is offering the 1 Year Chronological Study Bible. It's an excellent resource. We certainly encourage you to go pick it up.
And it's an NLT, the New Living Translation, the best translation.
Yeah, and certainly want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in today. You can check us out wherever you listen to podcasts or on YouTube. So hello, YouTubers. We're glad to see you. You can see us if you're watching on YouTube, and we will see you on the next episode.